back again for another video. I'm sure a lot of you probably seen the first one when we did the teardown. So we basically got all the parts we need here. This is a 1983 RZ350. Today we're going to mount a swing arm off a 2012 R6R. The swing arm is a little bit wider than the standard RZ350. It does take a little bit of work. You have to really think about what you're doing. Any of you guys out there that are doing projects now, or you're thinking about doing a project, you're not mechanically inclined, you're worried that maybe you won't do a good job, don't worry about it. Anybody can do this. Some guys use frame jigs. There's ways to do it with simple tools. You don't need a frame jig, you don't need huge money. This project so far cost me $220 for a swing arm off a 2012 R6. The bike cost $600 bucks. I sold all the parts that we took off the bike for pretty much the same amount of money. So far this entire project has cost me 250 bucks. So today you're going to need some basic tools. First one is just a simple metric measuring tape. You want to make sure you got inches on one end and metric on the other. The next tool we're going to use is a big bore bulldozer from Home Depot. It costs $15.99. This is what we're going to use to drill in a new block to mount our swing arm. So the RZ350 swing arm, the stock one, is 1.5 inches, a little bit smaller than the new swing arm we're going to mount. So basically what I have to do is I have to stretch the frame to the right and the left. In order to do that, keep it straight and get an exact measurement, what you do is you take off your bolt for your engine mount, and on the side there's two plates. So you take off that plate, you're going to loosen off the measurement you need on that bolt. You want to make sure that you keep your front engine mounted tight so the engine doesn't move, because we're going to use the engine as a measurement tool that we get the exact measurement to the left, the exact measurement to the right. Some guys will throw a jack in between, they'll start cranking the frame to stretch it out a bit. Basically what happens is they stretch one side all the way. So you want to make sure you're getting 1.5 inches or 1/4 inch, whatever you need on the right and the left side. Basically what I usually do, if I don't have that option with the motor mount in the front, I'll weld the steel plate on the gooseneck. I'll bring it to the back where close to the rear end where the shock would mount. And then I can use that as a gauge to measure how far my frame went to the right and how far it went to the left. So basically what we're going to do, we're going to loosen off the rear mount. We're going to give it, I need 3/4 inch on each side. So I'm going to loosen off the 3/4 inch, take a measurement, make sure I have that. I'm going to stretch the frame over to this side and only that distance. Once that's done, I'm going to tighten up that bolt so it doesn't move. Then I'm going to take off the bracket and I'm going to move this side over on the same distance across. Once you're able to do that, you're going to need a block. So what I use, just a piece of steel that I got from Princess Auto. It cost me 10 bucks. And I took a measurement off my swing arm. So down on the swing arm, I want to make sure that those seals here are pushed in tight. So I used a clamp and brought them in tight to make sure I'm getting the exact measurement. So that's exactly what I need. I added an extra millimeter on the end because when you weld the frame back in and you bring everything tight, you want that extra millimeter. It will go tight later on down the road. So the bolt that goes through here is a lot bigger than the standard bolt on the RZ350. I won't be able to use this anymore. I have to use the manufacturer's bolt that they use for the swing arm on the 2012 R6. So on this side it's a threaded rod that goes into the frame. It goes through. On the other side it's just a standard nut. So I had to have Barry Machine and Welding make me a block. The block is 1.5 inches, which I need to go through the frame on the right and the left side. And the other block is also the same. But the thickness of the exterior of the block is 2 inches. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this 2-inch bit. I'm going to tack on a piece of metal on the left and the right side on the inside of the frame. I'm going to pre-drill a hole so that I can make sure that that is in center. And I'm going to use this to drill through for my block. One thing guys make mistakes when they do these kind of projects is when they drill through, they break through the material on the exterior closer to the motor. And what happens is after you weld it, you ride the bike for a while, it starts to crack in the weld. So I want to make sure that I keep a little bit here on the side, so when I weld it, that's still exposed on the outside of my shank. So we'll speed up the video a little bit, we'll get everything set up, drilled and mounted, and then I'll give you more detail on how to process putting in those pieces. I'll see you in a bit. So we drilled some holes through the side of the frame to mount the blocks for the swing arm that's going to take in the new bolt. So basically what I did is I took a piece of 1-inch pipe, drilled a hole in the center, I lined that up with the center of my bolt, used a little piece of paper in between, wrapped it around, and then punched the hole, and then we had it tacked on. And when I tacked it on, we used that as our guide for our bit, and we took out a big chunk of frame. So we put the new block in. So basically what you're left with is a 2-inch hole on each side of the frame. It's going to be balanced and centered and straight. And you want to make sure that this material here on the outside is still there. Because when we TIG weld that all the way around, it's going to be a secure fit. Everything's going to fit tight. You won't get any cracking. Your weld won't break. So the next thing we're going to move on to is stretching the frame to accommodate for the width of the front of the swing arm. So that's that. We did all the work. We drilled out the holes for the swing arm. We stretched the frame out evenly on both sides, left and right. So the next thing to do is wait for the shanks for the swing arm, where we drilled our 2-inch hole, and then we can mount the swing arm and TIG weld everything in place. But that's pretty much it so far. I guess the next video you'll see is when we mount the front end and complete the rear end and the block for the shock. But that's pretty much it. Later.